Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. A Sanskrit word for human is Purusha. The depth of the word Purusha is that one's nature is Purnatva. A human's nature is completeness. Right now, that is difficult for us to internalize, which is why in our daily living, we should try to create Purna. Purna means completion, closure. And we're doing that as a community. On Tuesday, we completed 600 mornings together. Today, we complete chapter 5 of 18 chapters. Sunday, for those in Vedanta and Bhagavata, we complete the 10th section. In our daily lives, when we taste completion, this becomes inspiration to complete the purpose of our life, to know our nature. For the typical human, right now, they don't know their nature, so they feel dejection. Prince Arjuna is symbolic of that. And those who love us, the one who loved Prince Arjuna, shared the way to come out of dejection is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga gives preparation. And we've come across that a lot in this chapter. Preparation feels like less anger, less fear, less desires. When Karma Yoga gives preparation, then we are to intensify how we're living to Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga gives emancipation. Emancipation from dejection, emancipation even from preparation. When you complete writing an exam, you don't have to study for that exam anymore. Jnana Yoga is also known as Vedanta Vichara. Please remember that. Vedanta is a science of nature. And Vichara means to reflect upon this, to revolve around this. In our lifestyle, if we are engaged in reflection, then what will be cleared out is doubts about our nature. Right now, I'm telling you, your nature is joy, but there's a lot of overt and covert doubts that go with that. If you reflect, though, this is logical. This makes sense. The asambhavana is cleared out. Then one can practice contemplation, which is changing one's identification from the relative to the absolute, from the body to the spirit. This changing of identification, right now we're struggling with viparita bhavana, that is the wrong identification. We have to change that. We have to correct that. Shri Krishna has shared to contemplate. Contemplation equals identification, the right identification. One has to disengage. In other words, one has to be less worldly. Disengage from entities, articles being circumstances. Disengage from experiences, likes, dislikes. Disengage from the equipments. Relax the body. Enjoy breathing. When all of that is disengaged, what's left? Only the ego and existence. And the ego can't go out because all of that is disengaged. So where can the ego go? It keeps contemplating, that is identifying with existence, that is emancipation. I feel that you all understand this more, and I hope you also understand why I am emphatic about unitasking. Unitasking nurtures concentration. What is concentration? Disengaging. But if you can't concentrate, you can't contemplate, correct? So please make those connections. That way we live this. What is the right identification? I'm coming back to verse 29. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. When we think of tapa and yajna, we typically think of rituals. Why? Rituals are natural. It involves doing. Rituals are easy. There's an almost immediate result. We call that prasada. But for those who are engaged in Vedanta Vichara, they don't externalize what tapa and yajna is. They internalize this. Tapa is to save. Yajna, it is to serve. Who, these are just words for contemplation, identify with bhoktaram, that God, Spirit, is the enjoyer. Now, as you reflect on this, we've come across so many teachings that share God is not the enjoyer. The Spirit is not the enjoyer. So all of a sudden, a contradiction. You see the doubt, the asambhavana. In contemplation, we may go with the sense of, I am the deserver, I am the doer. If there's any deserver, any doer, it is God. And when I slowly make that transition, then I come to internalize this even more. I can't create joy. If I can't create joy, I'm not living a life of deservership or doership. One cannot create joy, one can only be joy. Trying to share this more simply, even God is not the enjoyer. God is the nature of joy. You cannot create God, you can only be God. You cannot create joy, you can only be joy. Bhoktaram is used for us to renounce any sense of, I'm going to create joy. The next quarter, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, Bhagwan our original parent, the creator, is presented in an eminent way. That our outer world is divine. The third quarter, Suhradam Sarva Bhutanam, the creator is presented in an immanent way. Not the outer world, but our inner world is also divine. The word Hrit, H-R-T, means heart. Duhrit sounds like dukkha, correct? Duhrit, dukkha, that is someone who doesn't know their nature is joy, so they're trying to create joy. They live a life of getting. We do that with our relationships, correct? Hrit, when you add the prefix su, that becomes suhrit. One who's trying to know their nature is joy, and since they feel this, they don't live a life of getting, they live a life of giving. Suhrit sounds like sukha, correct? One of Shuka's classmates, they're best friends, and she can't pronounce his name, so she calls him Shuga. Instead of Shuka, where's Shuga today? Makes sense. And to zoom in again on how our original parent is our outer world, is our inner world. On February 17th, I'd asked all of you, who is most dedicated to you? Who is most dedicated to you? He is our original parent. Endlessly giving to us. Those who give to us, that means they love us. So when I contemplate, I should be contemplating on the love of God. We say, for the love of God, in such a negative way, correct? We should be contemplating on the love of God. And now, a very causal teaching, Nyatva mam shantim richati, the one who knows, richati, they rediscover shanti. No more dejection, now there's emancipation. But the causal word here is mam. Who is mam? Our sense of I is right now identified with creation. I am this body. I am this family. I am this home. It's creation. In contemplation, that sense of I has to evolve from creation to creator. In this context, the name is Sri Krishna. But there's even an evolution of that. The sense of I from creation to creator to consciousness. From God to spirit. From Bhagwan to Brahman. This is the Vishaya, the subject matter of contemplation. Many, they feel like they're contemplating, but if there's no Vedanta Vichara, then what are you contemplating on? You're only deepening that the sense of I is the ego. But with such teachings, now we know what I am to contemplate on. The Sankalpa Vakya, that is the intention statement. Om Tat Sat Iti Shrimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishnarjuna Samvade Karma Sannyasa Yogo Nama Panchamodhyayaha. We've reviewed this 4 times already. This is the 5th. Adhyaya Panchama. This is the 5th chapter. And what is the teaching of this chapter? Karma Sannyasa Yoga Nama. That's the theme. In one statement, renunciation of my wrong identification is karma sannyasa. Renunciation of my wrong identifications, very practically, to move from doership to instrumentship. Now that I know my original parent is in this outer world, in this inner world, be her instrument. Finally, though, consciousness, which is non-doership. Being. In contemplation, we will practice just be. To application, your application was, what are you thinking about? Because whatever you're thinking about, you're going to become. Meaningful Mornings is trying to encourage us to stop thinking about our family only. Think about your community. Think about society. Because finally you have to think about Sarva Bhuta, correct? All beings, not just humans, animals, plants, stones. Until you're thinking of all beings, you can't identify with all beings. So keep on thinking big. Your application for this morning is make sure you listen to the recording that is going to be completed soon. There's a lot of purna in what I shared today, a lot of connecting of dots, a lot of completion. Be sure you listen to the recording. Everything that was shared today should be clear. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.